She watched him from across the room, knowing he had everything: money, power, influence. Yet his eyes were empty, like someone who had everything and nothing at the same time. He was the kind of man who could buy anything, but something was missing. He had wealth and fame, yet each day felt like a quiet, never-ending echo of loneliness. She served him his drink that night, her hands shaking. She had always worked hard, but this was different. There was something about him that made her heart race. "Thank you," he said softly, his voice carrying a weight she couldn't explain. There was something in his tone that made her feel like he was asking for more than just a drink. Day after day, he came back to that bar. She served him each time, never understanding why he kept coming back. But it was clear. He was searching for something. One evening, he sat down beside her, not asking for a drink, but for her company. "I don't know why I come here," he admitted. "I just don't want to feel alone anymore." She didn't know how to respond, but she listened. He told her about his life, the endless parties, the empty conversations. He had everything, yet he was completely alone. "I don't need your sympathy," he said, his voice breaking. "I just need someone to understand, someone who doesn't see me as a dollar sign." She wasn't sure why, but his words resonated with her. Perhaps because she, too, had always been seen for what she could offer, never for who she truly was. "Maybe we're not so different," she said quietly, her voice almost lost in the noise of the bar. "I don't have what you have, but I know what it's like to feel invisible." They began to meet regularly, at first out of mutual loneliness, but soon it was more. He found comfort in her company, and she began to see him as more than just a rich man. She learned of his pain, the pressure of his success, the fear of being used. She understood him in a way no one else could. He began to realize he could trust her. She shared her own struggles with him, growing up with nothing, always having to prove her worth. But she had dreams, real dreams, not defined by money or status. One evening, as they walked through the city together, he took her hand, surprising her. It wasn't a gesture of possession, but one of connection. They both knew this wasn't just about companionship. It was something deeper, something unspoken. She had found a friend in him, and he had found someone who truly saw him. One night, as they sat under the stars, he turned to her and said, "For the first time, I feel like I'm not invisible. You make me feel like I matter." She smiled, realizing that in him she had found something rare too. Someone who saw her for who she truly was. And for the first time, she felt truly seen. They didn't need to say more. Their bond had grown beyond words, beyond what they had expected. It was simple. They had found in each other what they had been searching for all along. He invited her to see his world, but not the flashy parties or the endless meetings. He showed her his favorite places, the hidden gardens and quiet libraries. She marveled at how different he was from the man she thought he would be. Beneath the surface, he was gentle, curious, and longing for a simpler life. In turn, she took him to her world, small diners, busy street markets, places full of life and color. He laughed like he hadn't in years, feeling alive again. They became each other's safe place, escaping the judgments of the outside world. With him, she wasn't a poor waitress. With her, he wasn't just a millionaire. Still, doubts haunted her at night. Would his world ever truly accept someone like her? Could love alone bridge the gap between them? One evening, after a charity gala, she heard whispers, nasty words from people judging her, calling her a gold digger, an opportunist. Tears stung her eyes. She wanted to run, to disappear from his perfect world that would never fully accept her. But then, she felt his hand wrap around hers tightly. He stood by her side, facing the crowd, his eyes blazing with silent defiance. Without a word, he led her out into the night. "I don't care what they think," he said. "All I care about is you." She realized, in that moment, that love wasn't about fitting into someone's life perfectly. It was about choosing each other every day despite the odds. Weeks turned into months. They built a life together, not in palaces or castles, but in shared laughter, whispered dreams, and the belief that they were enough. He introduced her to his family. Some hesitated, but most saw what he saw. A woman who made him truly happy, and that was worth more than gold. Despite their different backgrounds, they found a rhythm together. They learned to celebrate their differences, to grow from them rather than fear them. He taught her about investments and philanthropy. She taught him about kindness without expectation, about the beauty in small, everyday miracles. One rainy afternoon, he got down on one knee, soaked and trembling, with no audience but the storm. "Will you build a life with me?" he asked. Tears blended with the rain as she said yes, laughing and crying all at once. It wasn't the proposal she had dreamed of. It was better. It was real. They married in a small ceremony under a canopy of trees, surrounded by people who loved them for who they were, not for what they had. No extravagant displays, no press, no expectations, only promises whispered under the open sky, vows spoken with trembling voices and full hearts. They built their home together, brick by brick, dream by dream, a place where laughter echoed louder than doubts and love grew deeper than fear. He supported her dreams too, helping her open a small bookstore, a lifelong wish she never thought she'd achieve. She, in turn, reminded him to chase passions he had forgotten: music, art, small joys that didn't come with a price tag. Through the years, they faced hardships, losses, arguments, days when the world seemed too heavy, but they never let go of each other. Every anniversary, they would return to that hidden garden where he first showed her who he really was, where she first truly saw him. The world outside changed. Businesses rose and fell, fortunes shifted, but their love remained a steady lighthouse through every storm. They grew older, wrinkles tracing the memories of 1,000 smiles, 1,000 nights spent talking under the stars. He still called her beautiful every morning. She still made him laugh until he forgot all his worries. One evening, sitting on their porch, he turned to her with misty eyes and whispered, "Meeting you was the only real fortune I ever found." Tears streamed down her face, not from sadness, but from the overwhelming joy of a life lived truly, deeply, and without regret. Even when illness came knocking, as it inevitably does with time, they faced it the same way they had faced everything, together. In his final days, he asked for only one thing: to be taken back to their little garden, one last time. Underneath the same trees where they had promised forever, he closed his eyes with a smile, her hand still in his. She stayed for hours, whispering stories, holding on to every last moment of the life they built together. Life moved on, as it always does, but she carried him with her, in her smile, in her memories, in every corner of the life they had built. She kept the bookstore alive, filling it with laughter and stories, teaching others the lessons he once taught her: love, hope, and courage. Every year, on their anniversary, she returned to the garden, bringing a single white rose and whispering, "Thank you for loving me." Though the world saw her as a woman who had once loved a millionaire, she knew the truth. She had loved a man who gave her a world. And in the end, she was never truly alone. He was in the pages of her books, in the laughter of children passing by, in the garden's eternal bloom. She often smiled to herself, knowing that what they had was rare, something even time couldn't tarnish or take away. At night, she would sit by her window, looking at the stars, knowing he was somewhere among them, watching over her. Her heart, though touched by grief, beat stronger than ever, filled with gratitude for a love so powerful it changed her forever. And so, the woman who once had nothing became the richest soul in the world, not because of what she had, but because of whom she had loved. This was never a story about wealth or status. It was a story about finding your true home, in a heart that chooses you every single day.